evening, Philly sports fans. How is everyone doing tonight?
Is it a good evening?
Well, I mean, for the three of us and all the people around the world that are fans, yeah, it is a good night. It
Yeah.
is a good night. It's just it's not a good night to have the situation be in that we're not moving on and we're not looking to play in the Miami Heat.
Right.
And I'll open it up. I'm thoroughly disgusted, and I'm sure you guys are as well because we all talk about it all the time. Lauren and I were down there Thursday night, but let's welcome our guests in and everybody that's joining us tonight. Please feel free to give us your comments and chime in and tell us one way or another. Lauren and I were there. The start of the fourth quarter, 83-81. All they had to do was win the quarter, right?
Yep.
That's all they had to do, win the quarter, and we're moving on. Here we are. I'm still trying to figure out, the failure of the fourth quarter, and then we go to Boston and just get just totally dominated and just look embarrassed, and it's just not a pretty situation at all. You don't mind losing. We saw the Phillies, lose to Houston, but they battled. They battled hard. You know what I mean? The Eagles, they battled all year. They battled hard. They didn't throw in the towel. The Union, they battled all year, to get to these championship games. And this team, that's all we heard all year. Let's get to the playoffs. We're built for the playoffs. We've got this dynamic that, is playoff basketball. And we just totally, we look lost.
Yeah.
We look totally lost. So, here we are, Wednesday night, couple of days removed. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there again. Sorry that you had to put up with that nonsense. Hopefully you got plenty of other good stuff, and not a Sixer win for sure. But I'm gonna throw it out to Lauren because I know I'm gonna let her take over for a little bit, and we'll feed off of her because she's got some interesting stuff that she shared with me, and I don't know that I agree. I'm not ready. But Lauren, why don't you? Let's hear your point of view, because to be perfectly honest with you, you're probably the biggest basketball fan on this page, on this Fan's View. You've been the leader of the process. You've been Joel Embiid's biggest fan. You own all the gear. You love the guy. You inherited his relationship with being a father and maturing and the whole process. Take it away. I'm done.
I think going into the offseason, there isn't anybody that I would consider untouchable. And I think that's the part that you don't necessarily agree with. I don't know how you run Embiid back out there again, or there's no way this team can even look similar to what it looks like now at the start of next season. I don't see how any of that happens. If you go back and look at the shows before this one, in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, one of the things that if I didn't mention, I know Anthony did, was just inconsistency. They were inconsistent all season long. And you saw that absolutely carry into the playoffs. You saw a team dominate the hell out of Boston in Boston to win game 5. They looked like a championship caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
I had no doubts in my mind. I'm like, man, if this is them turning the page and they've finally figured it out, we're going to be going down Broad Street. Then you come home. That's the game you and I were at, Dad. And they were in it. You know, they were in it. It wasn't stellar, but they were holding their own. They were keeping it within 2 points, you know, leading by 3, down by 1, whatever. And then the fourth quarter comes along and they sort of just handed it to them. There really was no effort there. And then game 7, same concept. I thought the first half, they were in it for most of the first half. The second half, the third quarter, you can't score 10 points and expect to win a game. It's impossible. There are so many things wrong with this team. I'm not even sure exactly where to start. So that's why I truly believe that no one to me is untouchable. They're all trade whoever you need to. Figure it out. Do whatever you got to do. I don't know, and maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll never. I don't know. But Embiid, he was so aggressive throughout the year. You know, taking it right underneath the basket, forcing the foul, not being afraid. This second round, he didn't do any of that. And maybe that's the knee injury. I'm not sure what it was, but you didn't see any of that aggressiveness. All of that was gone. He resulted to these fadeaway jumpers that never worked because he doesn't shoot them often. So, you know, he tries that. Sometimes they go in. Most of the times they didn't, but there's no foul. Most of his points, when he scores 30, 40 points, half of them, if not more, are foul shots.
Okay.
That's his game. So if that's your game, and now all of a sudden the second round of the playoffs, you're not forcing those fouls, how are you making any points? So there's just so many things that we could point to that are wrong, that need to be corrected. You know, I won't let James Harden off the hook, but once again, I think this is where Dad and I, you know, we disagree a little bit. I'm not as bent out of shape about James Harden as I think other people are. He's older. He's on the tail end of his career. He might want a 3-4 year deal, but that's not happening. Especially not after the performance that teams have seen this season and the postseason. He's lucky if he gets another 1-2 years. In all honesty, he should go to Houston for a year, play, retire, and be done. But I felt like he added some good pieces to the playoffs. He added some good, you know, had some good games, but he also had some not so good games. But I would say Embiid, to me, was more of a disappointment than Harden was. I don't want to think that this happened, but I almost feel like the minute Embiid got his MVP title, things switched. He almost took his foot off the gas. Well, now I have what I wanted. So is it a long shot to think now I don't have to play as hard because I got the trophy that I wanted? And he talks, you know, that the finals, winning the championship is what he always wanted. And of course, that's what he's going to say when the camera's on. But I can't help but feel that coincidence of he wins MVP and then all of a sudden goes out there and plays like a different player.
Yeah.
So, no, to me, do whatever you have to do this offseason to put something better out on the court. I don't think anybody is untouchable. If that means we need to trade Tyrese and get some pieces, do it. Do whatever you got to do.
Doing that, you're going to end up, like you said, you're going to blow up the whole thing then and starting over. Which I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think he may be the only person, just because he's young enough to build around Tyrese, because it seemed like he didn't give up. You know, and you know, Embiid and Harden were the two biggest factors there because they, you know, they wanted to play their pick and roll game. You know, and they just it was those two on the court and nobody else on the offense. And the Celtics figured out a way to stop that by putting the two bigs in there with Williamson in there. and they didn't know what to do. And then, like you said, Embiid got scared and couldn't want to drive, and whether it's the injury from the knee or not, but still.
When you say, that it's the two of them out there, Harden and Embiid, and it's, kind of the Harden and Embiid show, how much of that is them doing that to themselves versus not trusting the teammates around them? Because that's what I see.
Yeah, they don't trust them, right?
Right. I see it's either in my hands or it's in Harden's hands, but
Right.
it's in nobody else's hands. And I thought the comment that he made after the series was over when they lost about how, it can't just be me and Harden out there, doing it. I thought that was circa 2017 Embiid when he said dumb shit,
Right.
being an immature basketball player. You don't throw your teammates under the bus like that.
No.
That's your fault for not trusting them. That's you and Harden deciding that you are the two best players on the court, therefore you should have the ball at all times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think to a point, it was a detriment to the team because Maxi's their young guy. You saw it in the game one when they beat him up in Boston. When Embiid wasn't there, how much of a team they played and how well they played together. When the ball goes through Embiid and Harden there, the game gets so slowed down that they're taking last second shots on the clock.
Well, and like you said, it's really easy for the opposing team to figure out what you're going to do. If they know that either Embiid or Harden has the ball, that's where they're going to focus their two best guys.
Right. And both of them are in the paint. So you got 4 or 5 guys right there in the paint. As soon as Embiid puts the ball on the court, the dribble, they strip it from him.
Let me throw this at you because I guess this is the thing that really annoys me the most. And I agree with both you guys. With turning the ball over and just the two of them with a 2-man game. Where's the accountability with the coach? To say, call a timeout and say, look, and I know Embiid was looking to pass the ball and do some things, but isn't it the coach's job to put his players in a good spot? Just you can't leave these two guys out there, and try to battle, 2 versus 5. It's just not. That's not good basketball.
No, but you see it in the timeouts when you kind of get in the huddle and you see Doc talking. He's saying, guys, we got to trust each other. We got to trust each other. He's basically saying it right to them. Without saying Harden and Embiid, get your head out of your ass. You got 3 other guys on the court. You got to trust your players, and everybody else is trusting them. But PJ Tucker standing in one corner, Tyrese Maxey's in the other corner, and Harris is up at the wing at 3-point line, and then those two are playing, with everybody else.
And unfortunately, because they don't get involved more often,
right.
that the slim chance that one of them does get the ball, most of the time they don't make it.
Right.
Well, this is the first time they're experiencing actually having the ball in the game.
And it's usually that the clock's expiring. It's down to 2 seconds, and you get a pass, and you just got to throw up a last second shot. It's the game. The game gets played a lot slower in the playoffs, and Embiid and Harden take it that much slower, and it's unfortunately, you see in other games, other guys are up and down the court where Maxey would flourish a little bit more. With
Sean brings up an interesting point, that they're considered one of the top teams in basketball, and I agree with that to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a good team, but I think if we're in the top 10, we're number 10. We have barely made the top team in basketball group. You can't put us in the same seat as Golden State or the Lakers or even Boston. We don't hold a candle to those teams.
Yeah, and then you got Milwaukee on top of that.
And I feel like they know that. I feel like we are sort of the laughing stock of the league, considered a top team. And they played like it in the second round. They played like a laughing stock of the league. Like, what the hell were we doing there in the first place? Because there was no reason for us to get blown out in game 3 the way that we did. There was no reason for any of that to happen. And it just they talk a big game. They tell you afterwards how upset they were and that they wanted to win so bad. It didn't seem like it.
No.
It didn't seem like there was any effort or any energy there at all. The only person I can tell you truly gave it their all looked to be Tyrese Maxey.
Right. Oh, I agree. I saw it the same way.
But that's how he played all year.
Right. And
if he has an off game, it's one off game. It's not 6 in a row, and then all of a sudden he has an injury.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, look at Boston. I mean, they were favored the whole series.
Sure.
They were the constant favorite throughout. Whether it was 2.5, 3.5 points, they were the favorite. You look at that, game 6 in Philly, Philly, they were on the verge of winning. And I can't keep, prefacing the conversation with, win the quarter and you win that series. They were that damn close. And then all of a sudden, Jason Tatum goes off, right? Has an unbelievable fourth quarter, right? Leads his team to victory. And what do you have on Sunday? 51 points?
Yeah.
I feel like it was like a lot more than that because he just couldn't miss a shot. And there's a guy that was like 0 for 5 3/4 in the series.
Yeah.
He was a missing part. It was Brown, that carried them, or it was a couple of their guys off the bench that carried them. But I just. And I want to try to drift away from the Harden and Embiid thing a minute because, Doc's got to be held accountable for, his bench guys. And we traded Matisse Thybulle and brought in a kid, McDaniels, who didn't even get off the bench.
Right.
Didn't even get off the bench to play a sniff of minutes. When they needed somebody to play defense, they bring in, this other kid named House, who doesn't play any defense. And
right.
And in losing, coaches, they're accountable for wins and losses, right? We all know that, and that's why he was let go. It's just the things that they had available to them, Doc wasn't, I don't know what he was thinking because he didn't try, to move some other guys around to try to stop Tatum or stop Brown. They just let them guys just dribble the ball, dribble and shoot. There was never anybody, send a couple of guys deep on the bench out there and start whacking these guys.
Yeah.
Start whacking these guys. You know what I mean? Use up some of your fouls, but don't let them score at random like that. That was crazy.
Yeah, they were just throwing out.
I almost feel like that's what they did to Embiid. You know what I mean? Because they were double and triple teaming him with guys, and they were using up their fouls.
Yeah, you're right.
But going back to prior shows, prior conversations, we talked about Doc Rivers not being able to use his bench. Anthony talks about Korkmaz never getting a minute of playtime. Never, ever do you see him out there. You never see Shake Milton out there. You never see any of those guys getting a chance. And so if they didn't play all season, now you're going to put them in a pivotal moment when your team has to win because hopefully that shakes something up. He needed to be doing that all season and getting these guys ready. If they're really a top team, the season is just to prepare for the playoffs.
Right.
Figure out your bench. Figure out who works with who throughout the games. You have all season to prepare for putting your best product out on the court. And I don't think Doc knew what his best product was. And here were the playoffs. So he was just sort of winging it as he went, making decisions that I guess he thought were the best, but there was never any bench rotation. I mean, Paul Reed got in there a little bit because, he played well in one of the games that Doc put him in, and then he kind of carried him through that. But other than that, there wasn't anything. Even George Niang, He didn't play nearly as much as he did last year in the playoffs.
Right. No, you're right.
So
yeah, it's just, there's so much finger pointing, and I mean, everybody that I talk to is pretty much in. I don't know about blowing it up and trading everybody, but
no, I don't think everybody should be traded. I'm saying there is no one I think is untouchable. If you need to trade Embiid to get 3-4 pieces, then trade them. I don't think anybody is the key to winning next year or the year after that. I really don't. I think Embiid has had so many chances to step up and be that guy, and he hasn't.
right.
Time after time, he has let us down.
Yep. I mean, what's
How
been
many more chances can you give him?
right? And what's been the common thread the whole process? Embiid.
Right.
I mean, you had Brett Brown, now you had Doc Rivers.
That kills me to say it because,
right. Oh, yeah,
like you said, I've loved Embiid, since he started here. But when you're looking for a veteran leader to get the team fired up to win the second round, and he can't step up and make that happen, I can't. I saw on Twitter the other day, and it made me laugh. It was a picture of Carson Wentz on the one side, and it just slowly over time morphed into Joel Embiid.
Well, I mean, basically that's what's happening. I mean, unfortunately, because again, we thought he was maturing, right? And then all of a sudden he goes back to, it wasn't me and Harden's fault; it was everybody else's fault. And that was what Wentz's problem was. He wouldn't take accountability, for what his mistakes were, and until he can do that, he'll never win.
Yeah.
It's just he's not.
Well, I will say, even if he has sort of that like cocky attitude, okay, that's one thing. But put your money where your mouth is. And that didn't happen. If we had won the championship and he had said, man, it was really James and I out there doing it all. Whatever.
Right.
Say whatever you want. I don't care.
Right.
But you can't be cocky and not win. The two don't line up. And that's what's going to make people pissed off. And that's what's going to make memes of Carson Wentz morphing into Joel Embiid. Now, do I think he's Carson Wentz? No. But I think he hasn't been able to prove what we've all been waiting for the last, 7-8 years now. Yeah.
I mean, it's close. And it's sad that comparison can even be talked about, whether whether it's good or right, right or wrong. To have that even be talked about and not be like laughed at about it is pretty sad where we're at right now.
So go ahead.
Who's the next coach?
Well, that was my question as well, because if Morey's involved, D'Antoni. Oops, did I get shut out there?
No, you're good.
You're here.
I lost it on my computer. Oh, there we go. I had a blackout. That's how bad this conversation for me is. It just D'Antoni is tied to Morey because he was the coach in Houston, right?
Yeah.
So if they talk Harden into staying in Philadelphia for one more year, for another run at this, and bring D'Antonio in, he runs a slightly different offense. But let's remember, Morey did not hire Doc Rivers. That was he inherited him, so it wasn't a coach that he hired. So now he gets to hire the coach of his choice. All signs lead to Harden opting out. I can't believe that there's another franchise out there that's going to give him a 3 or 4 year deal and pay him, big time money, a max type contract. I think he stays here and he takes what is he on the books with us for, like 30, 35, 36 million?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, he's going to have to even take a lesser deal because he opted out, right? So
if but he's gone for the years. You know what I mean? Like
well, right.
If he goes back to Houston, they may give him, I don't know, 4 years at 25 million per.
Right, to
Let's
get
say.
100, yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I understand what Lauren's saying, and Joe Stinger brings up, your starting five. They brought PJ Tucker here to be, that, that guy to rebound and, throw the body around. And I don't know, did we get our money's worth there with PJ Tucker? I mean, there's another big contract that you threw out there. I know the talk is to try to off Tobias Harris and what's left on that, one more year on that deal, I believe.
Yeah, one more year.
I don't know. It's there's a lot of moving parts. Trying to find, if Harden does leave, who can you bring in? I mean, you've tried just about everybody. I think the guy that had probably the biggest chance of winning here was Jimmy Butler, and we didn't keep Butler. We opted to go with Tobias Harris and let Jimmy walk. Right. And we see what he's doing in Miami. So,
I guess the question for the coaches is who wants to come here? Because there's a lot of, yes, people may say the Sixers are an attractive team, but there's a lot of attractive teams. The Bucks coach just got fired. There's a lot of coaches that have been fired recently that are more attractive than the Sixers.
Were they fired, or are they just being held accountable because they lost when they weren't supposed to?
Right. Yeah.
What I mean?
Whatever the terminology is.
And to take a page out of Sue's book, you can't fire all the players.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? You can't you can't get rid of all these players. So, here it is. The coach is held accountable. Doc's got 2 more years left on his deal. Who knows if he'll get another job? Monty Williams was an assistant under Doc. He knows Joel real well. You know what I mean? But, he had, I don't know, he had Phoenix Suns team. I think they were much better than what the Sixers put out there.
Right.
And he couldn't get it done with, Durant and Kyrie Irving. And
oh yeah, I mean they got a stacked team out there.
Yes, and I don't know. It's you look at it. When we were in a similar situation a few years ago, Lauren brought. The Eagles were in a very similar situation. With a lot of what ifs and maybes, and what do we do from here? And you need a GM to be very creative. He's got to, he's got to, figure this out, because they certainly don't have a lot of cap space and they don't have a lot of draft picks.
No, so, and plus next year Maxi's up as well. That you're going to have to pay him.
Is he in the last year of his rookie deal?
Yeah, he's in his last year, so you're going to have to pay him as well. And if you keep putting him into the corner, is he going to want to stay here? Not giving him the ball and making him a focal point, and it's going to be the Embiid and Harden show again. Is he going to want to actually stay here and get a nice contract here? But because he could be used on a lot of nice teams. They could use him.
Well, like Lauren said, if everyone's up for grabs. I mean, the minute that Embiid would hit the market, I got to think there's a number of teams that would package up, a bunch of draft picks, a bunch of players, and want him on their team.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen the graphic of Embiid in a Miami Heat uniform. I don't know where that came from or what exactly that's all about, but
just a Jimmy Butler connection.
Yeah.
Basically, it's all that, But again, to get rid of an Embiid, which is possible, it's you got to get a lot back for that contract. It's not even so much for the player. You might be just getting a bunch of garbage back, in money wise. You got to get, just go doing draft picks won't be enough for them, type of thing.
Right.
Well, those draft picks nowadays bring big dollars, big value. But I understand what you're saying as far as you can throw some dead money, contracts. Right. We've done it. We've done it. In the past.
I would rather have players, honestly, than draft picks, because if you look at the history of our first round picks over the last couple of years, it hasn't been too great.
Yeah, I mean, we're the best one is Embiid, and we're questioning him right now. So, if that's the best that we got.
Well, I'm going to bring, we're bringing up a lot of different names, but I understand that one Ben Simmons was on the internet over, I guess, Sunday, and he was having a little fun at our expense. I mean, what's that all about?
All he did was post on his Instagram story that he happened to be watching the Sixers Celtics game, and the Sixers happened to be losing at that time. I mean, I'm not even mad at the guy for that. I don't even really care. I mean, we have given him so much shit that I can't even say if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't have done the same thing.
Yeah, but he's sitting at home watching.
Yeah, I mean, he's at home. The Australian League doesn't even want him this summer. And no NBA team probably even wants him for next year. So whatever. Poke fun. I mean, but it goes back to what I said. We are the laughing stock of the league.
Yeah. No, it's true. That's true. I mean, you have all this talent, and on paper that the team is, you would think built pretty well, but when your two biggest stars in Embiid and Hard come up that small, you got 24 points between the two of them in a closeout game.
Yeah.
If I had more turnovers than they had points.
And I go back to that because why? Why?
Why?
You know what I mean?
And Embiid's not a killer. Embiid's not a guy that's like Kobe or Michael Jordan or whoever you want to go down, Durant, that's just going to say, this game's mine. Even Jimmy Butler. Like, Jimmy Butler will tell you, this game's mine. I'm taking it over. It doesn't matter who you put on the court. I'm scoring.
Do you remember mid-COVID had to have been 2020 when those documentaries about Michael Jordan came out?
Right. Oh, yeah.
You watched year after year. It didn't matter who else was on the court.
Right.
He put that team on his back and he made them win. We do not have that.
Right.
We as fans want very much for that to be Joel Embiid, but he is not that guy. And I think we all have to come to grips with he will never be that guy. He might want to be that guy, and we want him to be that guy, but he can't. He physically can't be.
I'm somewhat contradictory of myself. And I understand what he was saying, post-game press conference. We bring in all these guys, right? We brought them all in. PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris. Didn't we bring these guys in to be role players? Didn't we bring them in, Tobias to average, 20, 25 points a game? Here we are leaning on a rookie in Maxey to carry us, right? To carry Harden when Harden's, having a miserable game. Here's Paul Reed, another rookie that we're depending on, when Embiid's not flourishing and his game is off, on another planet. We brought in all these guys, paid them a lot of money, and they just didn't perform either.
Well, but they weren't given a chance.
They were never really given an opportunity to.
Well, you got to hit a few shots, right?
If you're not used to it, if you're not ever in the play, if you're not ever involved in the play, if the ball's never thrown your way, except like what John said, when there's 2 seconds left, you're set up to fail.
Right.
You're not setting these guys up to win. And trust me, don't get me wrong. I'm not a Tobias Harris fan. I think he is subpar at best. Don't get me wrong. PJ Tucker, I'm a fan. I'm okay with him. He gives you some rebounds. He's your best 3-point shooter some nights. So I don't really have a problem with him. But these guys, they don't pass the ball. They don't get everybody involved. And if they do, they only pass it to try to pull a defender off of Embiid or off of Harden for half a second just to give them the ball back and hope they can make the shot.
All right.
So, Harris barely gets a chance. Niang never gets a chance. These guys are out there. Tyrese Maxey, he don't give up the ball because he knows if he does, he'll never get it back.
Yeah.
So he goes flying from one end of the court to the other because Embiid can't keep up with that. And he knows that by the time Embiid gets down there, he'll have already scored on a layup anyway. So what's the point? I might as well just take it myself.
And we saw that.
If it's everybody for themselves out there and they're not playing as a team, which it doesn't appear that they are, when Embiid makes a comment like that, you're not going to win. How could you win?
Right. And you saw it in game 1. They played that way. Tobias got involved. Maxey got involved. Why? Because Harden or Embiid wasn't on the court. When the ball goes through Embiid as the focal point, this team isn't as good. Embiid, and it's not saying that Embiid is not a good player because he is a top player, but he can't dominate the ball the way he thinks he can because he doesn't control the ball. He gets the ball stripped from him. Unless the pick and roll is going, and like Lauren said, you're scoring half your 40 points at the foul line. What's he doing? It's this team works better without Embiid on the court. It just
some nights, yes. Some nights I will agree with that.
And I don't know that you can do that all year long, like you said.
Right. Yeah. Right. Some nights it is better to not have him than it is to have him.
Right.
And if that's the conversation that you're having, there is a huge problem.
Exactly.
Because if he's your superstar, if he's who the team is built around, and you can even fathom to say that some nights he's better off not playing than he is, then he's not the Michael Jordan he thinks that he is, because you would never want that Bulls team out there without Jordan.
Right. Exactly. And that's the problem. It's for a long season. No, you can't, not have him on the court, but you see it in short stretches, which, it's basketball, it's short stretches. Yeah. But the team flows so much better when they get everybody else involved in the game and not just as Embiid says, the bread and butter, the pick and roll with him and Harden, because it just that bread and butter gets turned into I don't even know what it turns into, but it gets slowed down too quickly. Oil and water. I don't know.
So I'm not ready to turn the page on the season, but I mean, with Doc being fired, do they
turn the page, shut the book, burn it, throw it over the balcony, do whatever you got to do because it's over. That's it. And I hope for every Sixers fan's sake that this team looks pretty darn different come next year.
Well, I mean, for starters, you gotta go out and get a new coach, right?
Right. Which, if I hear Jay Wright one more time, Jay Wright is not coming to coach the Sixers. He would be an idiot, an absolute idiot, to take that job. I know for all the money in the world, I understand that, but he is an elite college basketball coach who has retired that way. He should not become the next Chip Kelly who tries to come to the NFL, come to the NBA, and dominate the NBA and fall flat on his face and then be barely recognizable when he goes back to college football.
Right.
He should stay the elite college basketball coach that he is and not come here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that, Joey. Sam Cassell probably is the guy.
Yeah.
Is he too close to what Doc was, though? That's my only question. You know what I mean?
You said the same thing about Rob Thompson, and he at least took you to the World Series.
Well, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he may be. He may be. But I don't know that. I'm not. I know Doc's got his flaws too, but I don't know that this was all on Doc this year.
Yeah.
You know, I just
I don't know that it ever truly is on a coach. I know that that's easy. That's the easy thing to do is to just fire the coach because at least you're doing something. But I don't always agree with those quick coaching changes because these guys are professionals. They should know how to play the game. They should know how to put themselves in the best position possible. They should know how to read the court. They should know what they're doing at this point in their career. They shouldn't need like this guy to have breakthrough advice for how to play the game.
Right.
They got to have a coach to just keep everything together. But if you're relying on Doc Rivers or any coach for that matter to be this breakthrough person to get through to these guys, they don't belong in the playoffs in the first place.
Right. And what do you hear all year long? James Harden. Oh, I put Tobias Harris in a dunker role. I see the way the game's going. I'm making all these changes when things are going good. Well, now you sucked. You know, the whole fourth quarter, last 5 quarters of the game of the season, and now it's the coach's fault. You know, he didn't coach us right. Well, when it's going good, I'm able to coach the team and put the team where they're supposed to. Well, then do it. You see that you're struggling today, which is fine. Guys are going to struggle once in a while. Get everybody else involved, and not just Embiid, who also was struggling that day. It was, you know, constantly up and down.
So
you can't tie the game at 55 and go on a 28-3 run. Let the other team go 28-3. You know, in the third quarter.
What coach who's currently available best suits what we currently have right now? What coach?
Joey mentioned it. I'd love Don Staley, but I don't.
That would be breaking barriers.
It would be breaking barriers. But what I want to get away from is the idea of, oh my gosh, it would be the first woman coach in the league. I want the best coach. Man, woman, elephant. I don't give a shit what they are. If they're the best coach for the job, I want them to be the next Sixers head coach. So, but with that being said, you have to recognize that it would be a woman, and how would the guys on the team respond to that?
Yeah, well, I think she would be okay, but the problem though is, like Lauren said, if you're blowing this team up, what's this team actually about?
Well, you know, I can tell you right now from where they're at, and you know who the owner is, and everything that's involved in Philadelphia, a rebuild is not in the cards.
No, I don't see this.
No way there's a rebuild in the cards. You're going to see a lot of new pieces. There's no doubt in my mind.
Agreed.
I think Harden leaves. I think they try to trade Tobias Harris on draft night, regardless of what it costs. You're going to have to put a package together to get another team to take that contract.
Well, I mean, you got Paul Reed's another guy that's restricted free. You got 5 or 6 guys.
They're restricted though, John. You know you don't have your hands tied that you got to overpay them to keep them here.
No, but you know you just do have a lot of, you got 5 or 6 guys that are.
Well, yeah, of course, and they're guys that we just mentioned that can't get off the bench.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, are you worried about losing? Milton and Sheikh Milton and Niang, Korkmaz, they're good 10, 11, 12 type player, you know what I mean, that should get minutes at some point. But Doc never got past 7 or 8 on most nights.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
But the problem is you need to replace those players though.
Well, and there's plenty of those guys out there.
Right.
There's plenty of those guys that are going to be out there. What you need right now is a coach that best can come in here and pick up these pieces and patch this thing back together. Is Embiid a better player without James Harden?
I don't think so, because I think you've seen Embiid is what he is, right? Since day one with Ben Simmons here, when Ben Simmons was the guy, Embiid isn't the dominating player. He's not the Michael, the guy that you can say, here, take the ball and run with it. He's not the Kobe, the Michael Jordan, whoever. LeBron. He's not even LeBron right now. I mean, look, what he was able to do for a while in the playoffs.
Well, the guy's not a bum. The guy's an MVP. You know what I mean? And I think
I'm not saying he's a bum, but the problem is he when it comes down to the crunch time, he's not the guy that take you over the top.
Well, and again, who is that coach? Who is that coach, that young, aggressive coach that can maximize what Embiid's got to offer? Who is that? There has to be a good young coach that can get in his ear and find out what's inside Embiid's head to make him an even better player, especially during the playoffs. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, I don't know that person's out there.
Yeah, I don't know what that looks like. I think
it's hard to answer, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you need the right coach, but when have we ever been good at picking the right coach in any sport? But part of it is also work that Embiid's got to do. This offseason, he's got to figure out what he wants to be when he grows up, because time is running out.
Yeah.
Your basketball career, especially when you're friggin' 8 feet tall, is only so long. Yeah. So, sit, play or shut up.
Yeah, basically, because we've been through it. Like you said, it always comes down to him whining and complaining. It's not his fault; it's everybody else's fault. And
yeah, and that's the part that really rips me apart inside, because I'm tired of hearing it as well.
Right.
But like Lauren, you said way back, he's matured, he's become a father, he's a different person. I'm looking for the next level of Embiid. You know what I mean? He's got his MVP. He's got his son. He's got his family. He had his parents here. You know what I mean? I'm looking for the next level. Is there a next level? If there's not a next level, then, yeah, okay. Then, it's time to sell off the pieces. But I'm just not ready to be a seller. I'm not a James Harden fan. I never was. So him leaving doesn't hurt my feelings one bit. But I need another top. I need another scorer. I need a Kyrie Irving. I need a KD, Kevin Durant. I need a piece like that. So if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I got to be damn sure I'm getting a 40, 50 point guy a night.
Well,
to go along with him.
It's funny you mentioned that name, because that is, and I don't know that it's the best. It's the best name on the board, free agent wise, is Kyrie Irving. Is he worth the headache though? Bringing him here, he's a good player when he plays, but this is going to be, if he comes here, it's be your fourth or fifth, team in the past 5 or 6 years.
Well, how many times and how many teams has LeBron James put together? You know what I mean? They're
comparing Kyrie Irving to LeBron James.
No, I'm just talking about guys that are flipping, going from team to team, wanting to win the ultimate prize.
I don't think any of them want to come here.
Right.
We need to keep talking about us being the laughing stock of the league, but I don't think any of them do.
Oh,
everybody wants to go out west.
No, I think they would love a shot to play with Embiid and prove everybody wrong. Prove everybody wrong.
Well, I don't think so, because Embiid dominates the ball, so they're not. If you're a guy that's going to score points, you're not going to be able to score the points like you, or have the ball like you do, because
do you think that's why Jimmy Butler left?
Probably.
Well, partly, but he also left because of Brett Brown.
Well, so it wasn't an Embiid problem, is my point.
Well, I think no, I I don't know that it was or wasn't, but if he really liked Embiid, playing with Embiid, he would have been still here because coaches are easily fired. So they would have gotten rid of Brett Brown if that was the case. You know,
you could have brought KD here when Brooklyn traded him.
Right.
There wasn't anything stopping you then. I don't think guys want to come here. Why would you want to? The amount of pressure to play here, the pressure to win, knowing, you know, Embiid's character flaws and his issues and all that. I'd go to the Lakers too. I'd go to Golden State too.
Yeah. I just don't.
I don't see the desire. I don't see the desire for one of those big names to come here.
Well, you guys are killing me.
Yeah. So, I mean, but unfortunately, it's just the reality of the situation. It's not, you know, not a good thing. You know, I mean, if you could have seen Embiid put up 40 points and still lose the game, you know, in Game 7, and you were, you know, he was that dominating that, you know, a guy like Jimmy Butler or whoever would be like, yeah, I'm that piece that's going to push you over the top. You know, yeah, then I could see your point as far as, you know, bringing somebody wanting to come here. But when he's cowered now in not even the conference finals, it's the second round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't even get past the second round in 5 years, and you've been, you know, the number one seed. You lose to the Hawks, and you know, you lost to the Celtics in the first round in the bubble, your first time into the playoffs, and you lose to Toronto on a quadruple doink, and you know it's you know you lose, you know, some tough games, but you know who wants to come here? You know, it's not that.
Well, I'm gonna stop you short in the middle of that conversation because you used to say the same things about the Philadelphia Eagles and who wants to come here. And you saw how quickly things got turned around there.
Well, they did because Jalen Hurts is matured and he's that killer, you know, where Embiid's not.
Well, this was prior to. So, like I said, a good general manager, you need a good GM to be aggressive. You know, I mean, you're talking about this is Philadelphia. This is where basketball, you know, I mean, is a prime sport in this town. You know, whether it's college, you know what I mean. You know, pro basketball's been, you know, quiet for some time now. But I mean, we got to figure this out, guys. We got to figure this out.
I mean, it's 40 years now.
We don't
without a championship.
We don't have to figure anything out. They're not listening to us. And unless Howie Roseman's going to come here and run the Sixers, I'm not expecting a blockbuster of an offseason.
No.
Well, you're also kind of hamstrung, you know, because of having to match salaries. You know, you can't do, you know, like Howie's done, you know, get rid of players and match back salaries. So, you know, yeah, if you want to get rid of Tobias Harris, well, you still got to bring back $30 million, you know, of salary cap back with you. What, you know, is what you're getting back better than having Tobias Harris here? Maybe not. You know, on when it comes on the court.
Well,
you know?
I mean, it's just like they did years ago when they were tanking and, you know, moving people in and out. You know, it's a formality. It's a way of doing business in the NBA.
No, that's true. But this team was built on losing, and that's all we are a losing team. Nobody knows how to win on this team. You know, because you've been built to lose.
Well, again, I ask at 7:24. We've been talking about it for almost an hour now. You know, who is the right coach to bring that dominance, you know, to Philadelphia? Who is that coach? Because there's 5 available. We'll take Jay Wright out of it because, you know, Lauren said he'll never want that job. 3 of them have won titles in the NBA.
No, again, it keeps coming back to who wants to come here.
You don't think a one of them would want to come here to Philadelphia?
Not one of those top team guys. No, you'll get a Sam Cassell that will want to come here.
No, I'm not talking about Sam Cassell. I'm talking about the top three that have won a championship. Well, so where are they going to go?
One's going to go to the Bucks.
Huh?
One's going to go to Milwaukee.
Okay. They're just going to switch teams.
Yeah, they're just going to switch teams. Phoenix is open, so who's not going to want to go to Phoenix? Yeah, you're just going to rotate them around because where would you rather go? Phoenix, Milwaukee, or Philadelphia?
Well, I guess I have a different mindset because as soon as Doc became available, when he was fired out in LA a few years ago, he was hired the next day by the Sixers. And I just think, coaches are hired to be fired. I don't care what the sport is.
Oh, of course. I mean, 3 of the last 4 coaches that won the NBA championships fired. So.
This is not Philadelphia is not the doormat of the NBA. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to accept that role of being a fan of the Philadelphia losers.
Well, you might have to be, unfortunately.
No, I'm not ready to do it. I can't do it.
Nobody here wants it to happen, but it's just unfortunately it's the facts. I mean, we'll find out. Obviously within the next couple of months, but I don't know a coach that's knocking down the door to come here.
I think you'll have an easier time finding a coach that's willing to try it out here. Maybe not a coach that's willing to give you a long-term thing, but a coach that's just interested in seeing if, accepting the challenge. I think you'll have more luck with that. Somebody who's willing to take on what is a very messy situation and see if they can actually get somebody to produce out of it. I think somebody sees it as a challenge and will take it on.
But is that out of the top 3?
Joey, help me out. You bring up Frank Vogel, and I believe he has Philadelphia ties. Does he not? I forget the history, but I think he's got Philadelphia ties to this city. And he was, I guess, the former coach of the Lakers from Wildwood. I don't know. Did he play here? Did he coach? I don't know. That name brings me to think promoted D-League coach. I don't know about that. Promoted D-League coach. I don't know. I'm sure. We won't get to talk too much about basketball next week because we're on the road again. Yep. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings. We're back at Buffalo Wild Wings next Wednesday night with Eagles alumni legend Bill Berge. Looking forward to bringing Billy out to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Maybe he wants to coach the Sixers.
We'll ask him. We'll get his opinion. Coach the Pacers.
Seem like a basketball guy.
I don't know.
He's got the elbows.
I don't know.
You don't seem like a basketball.
He probably, he probably wouldn't put up with Embiid's crap. That's for darn sure, would he?
No.
And I don't think Don Staley would either.
Right. No. And for her to come and get respect, she couldn't.
Right.
Wouldn't that rock the NBA? Huh?
I'd love it.
Yeah. Wouldn't that rock the NBA?
She deserves it. I could see that, happening.
I think she deserves it, but I don't see it happening, John.
Well, maybe not. No, maybe not in Philadelphia. But I mean, she's going to get a job at some point in the NBA. But I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
it'll be like
from a head coach.
Right. It'll be a Charlotte or some other lesser
team. A smaller market team where it's not going to make nearly as big of a.
I just she's built a dynasty in South Carolina. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know why she would want to leave. I mean, Philly is her hometown. She's from Philly. Philly's a great basketball town. Just look at all the history here, with the old Sixers, the titles,
that's what you got to look at. Don't look at the current stuff.
That's the problem. the basketball for NBA stopped with the process. Once Iverson, did his thing.
The team was terrible before the process.
Well, before, you're right. But I'm saying, but like Iverson, in 01, you had a little bit of hope. But after that, what have we had?
Iverson in the finals against who was it? LA. The step over of Tyrone Lue.
That was 2001.
Right. You didn't have much before that.
No, right.
You didn't have much after that. This is the most exciting basketball we've had in Philadelphia since 2001. That much I'll give this team.
Right. You've had 5 years of 50-win games, but you can't get out of the second round.
Right.
Like, they're a good regular season team. They're not a playoff bound winning team.
Well, again, I ask, who is going to be that coach?
They'll find
please don't tell me no one wants to come here.
I think it's going to be you, Carl, because nobody else is going to it's going to be a no-name person, a Sam Cassell type. It's going to be a Sam Cassell person, like somebody's going to get a fresh start.
Maybe it'll be like a Nick Sirianni type where it's just out of the blue, like not on anyone's radar, and actually
be good, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take the optimistic approach on this one.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think you're going to see any of the top three. Let's put it that way.
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, we are. Hey, we didn't get to talk much Eagles, Phillies, Flyers. Not that there's a whole lot to talk about. Well, the Phillies lost. They got swept in San Francisco.
The Phillies are the Sixers of baseball.
You're killing me. You're tearing me up.
But remember, this is where they were last year, the same point. The exact same
John,
spot.
but the way they're losing.
100%. They were just as
the same way.
Yeah, terrible last year as they were this year. The difference was, though, that they let Joe Girardi go. They bring in Rob Thompson, and that seems to kind of ignite the team. But now they seem to be playing exactly the way they were last year, but under Rob Thompson. So where is the problem? Also, talk about somebody who literally is so underwhelming, Trey Turner.
Yeah, well, he's struggling. He's struggling right at the moment. You're not kidding there. But
he's your Nick Castellanos of last year.
Right.
Did you move into Ben Simmons' house?
Now you'll see. Trey's gonna. We'll turn things around, but yeah, right at the moment he is.
Please don't be shy, Trey. Don't be shy. Any day now.
Exactly. But just like the problem is the calendar doesn't say June yet. That's the problem.
Okay. Well.
It's unfortunate. It's.
You know what the best thing of all this is? The Mets are worse than us.
Right. Exactly. No, it's true.
That's the only promising thing I have every morning when I wake up is to see the Mets, in the loss column underneath the Phillies.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the Marlins, jumped ahead of us, but, it's, you got Washington and the Mets behind us.
Our pitching, John, is terrible. Our pitching is bad.
Well, we've been talking about that, and
bad.
I got a little bit of a glimmer of hope though when talking with Dickie Knowles about trading Painter for Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, well, now when the Marlins are in second place, they're not that stupid.
Well, you never know. They got a lot of pitching coming themselves, so they're a team you got to watch out for.
Guys, we beat up our Philadelphia 76ers every which way we could.
Oh yeah. Yes, we did. Unfortunately, and the one I feel worst about, is you guys both being there Thursday night, to see him losing 6. I feel sorry for Lauren, being there. She deserved. You deserve to see it win. It's, being the Sixers fan that you are, you deserve to see that win on Thursday.
Well, the funny thing is, it doesn't surprise me.
Right. Well, we expect it, right?
Yeah, you come to expect it. I mean, the whole time, I never really got the whole like, oh my God, this could be our year.
Right.
The whole time, it just sort of felt like they'll lose.
Right. Yeah.
Just give it time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they get out of the second round, we'd be having a completely different conversation. Even if they had managed to like somehow squeak out a win on Sunday and they had made it to the third round, we would be super excited, but we'd still have the inconsistent team that we're talking about. So, yeah. I wanted them to win too, but it does not surprise me that they lost.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's why we're the laughingstock of the league.
Yep. No, I agree.
All right. Well, we're going to end the show. I'm going to give Dawn Staley a call and see if she's interested in coming to Philly.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be
nice. We need something. We need see now. There would be a top coach that would come here because she wants to be here. She's from here. Other than that, I don't know who is going to come here.
Maybe they'll surprise you, John.
I hope so, but I mean, there's just too much. There's just too much unknown on this team that you don't know what is.
Whoever it's going to be has got to have the guts that it takes to get Joel Embiid out of Joel Embiid's way.
Right. Yep.
That's what it boils down to.
Yep, I agree.
And to stop being in the way of everybody else.
Right. No, it's true. It's true.
Guys, what else do we can we close out on a positive note?
Well, in 2 weeks, a positive note will be our 250th show. How's that?
Yeah. There you go. I'll drink that.
There you go. We'll drink to that. How's that? There's some positive.
250.
Wow.
Not 215, not 610, not 302, 250.
Yep.
How about that?
Later on this year in October, it'll be a 5 years anniversary.
And they said we couldn't do it.
All right.
And they said no one wanted to come here.
And no one liked us.
And we didn't care either.
We don't.
But yeah, I mean, it's there's some positivity.
There you go.
Thank you, Johnny.
End it quick before we have a minute to think different.
Right. Exactly.
Before Jack wants to rip the Flyers or I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know what's worse, the Flyers or the Sixers right now.
Ooh.
Oh my! That's insulting. now that really that's hitting me to the core. Come on!
The knife out of the back line.
Oh my!
There you go. I knew at 7:38 I finally pushed that button.
Oh my word!
All right.
And on that note.
Yeah.
Lauren, you're heading to Pittsburgh for the weekend. Have an awesome time in Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Raise the Jolly Rancher. Go Bucks.
Hopefully they're playing the Diamondbacks, which this morning Anthony goes, who's even on that? Does Randy Johnson still play for them? So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, you have a great fun time. I know you guys are looking for a few days off, so you deserve it. Johnny, you're stuck with me. We're still shipping out Brandon Graham and Kelsey stuff. Ronnie goes, where are you getting all this stuff from? He goes, I didn't bring all this in. He's back to making 2 trips a day at Carl's. So
yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
hopefully by Saturday we'll have it all finished up and everything will be shipped back. So.
Oh yeah, we got our end done. Now just everybody's got to pick up the stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. So
I'm sure there's a few stragglers that we missed the digits on that got to get shipped out. So
of course.
So
always.
All right, guys. Great night, great show. Thank you. We always find an hour on a Wednesday night to talk Philly sports. So. Thanks everybody for joining us, and hang in there. We're gonna bring an NBA championship to Philly one day. I know it.
I just hope I'm alive.
Yeah, and then just be careful on the streets. My sons will be turning 21 on Friday, so
wow.
be careful out there, everybody. Can't hold.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to Kyle and Tyler. Cheers. Yep. I got your first beer.
I think you might be a little bit late for that, but
I mean, the one goes to Penn State, so you definitely missed the first one on that.
exactly.
The first legal one.
Boys. Happy birthday.
Yeah, the first legal one.
All right.
All right. See you later.
See you guys. Thank you.